Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vero, and in today's video I'm setting up my January spreads in my bullet journal.
Just before we get started with my January setup, let's have a look at the yearly spreads that I've set up in my bullet journal so far. So the cover page looks like this. As you can see, I've gone for a watercolor theme. You would have seen all of this setup in my video for my 2023 bullet journal setup, except for I've actually added a couple of extra pages since then, and you can find me setting those ones up in my video from my vision board and my goal setting video, which was last week. As you can see, I filled in my goals page. I've included a 23 things to do in 2023 vision board, a word of the year, as well as a spring cleaning checklist, which is actually for a blog post on the Archer and Olive website. I've also got a reading log, which I haven't actually completed because I am not doing my reading journal just yet, but that will come in another video. So I've actually gone for an upside down umbrella with plants hanging from them this month for my theme, because I only brought specific colors with me, including greens and a couple of blue-ish turquoisey colors, so I figured a leaf theme would work really nicely. I was also inspired by this hanging plant image that you can see on Pinterest. It's a very common image. I see this one a lot everywhere, and I'm just going to recreate some of the leaves on my umbrella. I'm using several different brush pens. The first one was a Pentel brush sign pen, and now I'm going to use one of the Calligraphs from Archer and Olive. I absolutely love the Calligraphs because they are dual-sided. One side has a thin tip and one side has a broad tip, and they are just so nice to use. I think the color range is impeccable as well. They have so many different options. They're not as bright, vibrant, basic colors, should I say, that you can find from other brands. So I really enjoy using Calligraphs from Archer and Olive. And of course, use Vero10 for 10% off if you want to buy them. I'm just going to speed through some of the leaves that I'm doing here. You can see the process is quite slow. In certain clips, I'm doing them normal paced, and others that I will just speed up. Here's another angle for you so that you can see the leaves as well. And these ones are just the hanging ones that I'm going to do. And I'm also going to change the color of the pen that I'm using because I just used that color as well. I hadn't realized. So as you can see, I am copying quite a few of the leaf designs from the Pinterest image that I just showed you. For the umbrella itself, I'm going to be using the Archer and Olive gel pens. Now, these gel pens came in the December subscription box, and they are absolutely amazing. I was kind of skeptical about them because I wasn't sure how they would turn out on white paper because I've only used them on black paper so far, but I was actually pleasantly surprised that they hold up and they look really vibrant or quite bright on white paper. So I'm really happy with how they turn out. I'm also going to color in all of the umbrella, so let's go through that. The gel pens run really smoothly, they flow very nicely, they dry as well pretty well. However, I will say that if you are using gel pens and you have pencil markings underneath your gel pens, make sure you rub out the pencil markings as best you can before putting the gel pen on, because I made the mistake of rubbing afterwards and I smudged my entire image, which you will see later on in the video. I think it has a small layer on top of the gel pen when you put it down on paper. I'm not entirely sure how it works, but it kind of like transfers when you rub on it, so that is just one thing to pay attention to. It happens with lots of gel pens as well, so it's not totally uncommon. I just haven't used gel pens in a long time. So here is the other pink one from the subscription box again. So there were 5 colors from the subscription box. I only brought 4 of them with me to Mauritius, so I'm only going to be using 4 of them, but these 2 are the ones that I'm using in my January plan with me. I'm going to draw the handle for the umbrella as well, and I'm just going to have the little hook on the bottom, and then I'm going to write out the word January in the same dark green Calliograph so that everything kind of looks put together. And this is what the cover page looks like. Next, I'm going to move on to my monthly log. Now, if you've been watching my videos for about a couple of months, you'll know that I recently discovered that I actually really enjoy using a vertical monthly log. Previously, I was always using calendar spreads because I thought I was more of a visual person for the monthly logs, but I've recently realized that I actually really enjoy using a vertical monthly log because you can have one side of the monthly log for personal tasks and the other side for work tasks, whilst maintaining all of them on one single page. I know that you could color code things as well, but I prefer doing it this way. The idea is to write the numbers of the month as well as the initials of the days of the week next to the numbers in the middle of your page. That way on the left hand side you can do personal tasks, and on the right hand side you can do work tasks, for example. Once you put all of the days of the week and the numbers as well, I like to use a pen and just underline each end of the week, so once the Sunday finishes, so that I know and I don't get lost when I'm planning things out. My next page is going to be my habits tracker. tracker. Now my habits tracker, I'm going for a more minimal aesthetic again. First, of course, I'm just going to write the title, so habits on the top with the Calliograph as well. I'm going to be using this particular color, which is from the March subscription box, and that one's still available online, by the way, for a discounted price, so definitely go check it out if you're interested in Archer and Olive products. It's definitely value for money, by the way. Then I'm just going to use a ruler and I'm going to trace out some lines for the habit tracker. I'm going for a vertical habit tracker and I'm just going to have a simple line going down. It's not going to be a completed box, and then on the top for each column I'm going to have an initial for the habit that I'm tracking with a code on the right hand side describing what each initial stands for. Just before getting into that though, I'm just going to draw a few additional lines. So these ones are horizontal lines. The first one is just for the basic black one. The next ones are going to be some grey lines, and I'm tracing some lines to divide my entire table by week, so ending on a Sunday. It just helps me keep track of things, especially on such a minimalist table. After doing all of the lines, I'm also going to write out the numbers of the month just on the left hand side of that black line. I'm using a green Calliograph pen to write everything down using the fine tip, because if you hold it vertically you can get a really fine line, which is what I'm going for. Now I'm just going to tell you what some of my habits are for January. These are subject to change, or I could add on some new ones. As you can see, there's quite a bit of space for me to track habits, so whatever I come up with is what I will track, because I'm currently filming this video at the beginning of December, so you know, it's not all concrete in my mind. So some of the habits that I'm going for are to track my water intake in the mornings. And I also have yoga, so I want to increase my yoga practice. I want to also practice handstands. I also want to floss my teeth. Then we also have the tracker for no meat. Another one is just tracking when I'm washing my hair, as well as if I'm reading, painting, and the number of dives, because if you have been following, I was in Mauritius for my grandma's 100th birthday, but I'm also taking 10 weeks to get my dive master certification, so I'm going to be tracking how many dives I do in one day, which is really exciting. Once I've done that, I'm just going to go back in and do another one of my little upside down umbrella designs, and I'm just going to adopt the same colors. I'm kind of trying to find which kind of style of leaf that I want to do whilst I'm doing this, and I actually don't really like all the leaves that I just end up doing, but that's okay. So here's this funky green one. I'm just going to incorporate different greens onto this leaf, and then I'm going to change the design for the rest of the leaves as well. Once I've done all of my little leaf designs, which look like so, I'm going to go in with the colors for the umbrella. I'm going to alternate the orange and pink color for the gel pen from the center and then the outer two panels of the umbrella, just because, you know, just to mix it up a little bit. And this is what the coloring in looks like. I also thought it would be fun to outline some of the leaves with a black pen. So just a forewarning, if you are using black pens over the top of the Archer and Olive gel pens, they don't usually work all that well. Like you can see my pen is skipping over the top. So I think they're not really good at layering for different kinds of pens. I think they layer well with each other, but not with like a standard pen, or at least not with this particular pen. This one is from Muji, by the way. So that's a little bit disappointing, but I still love the gel pens and I will continue using them because they are really fun to use as well. My next page is going to be my goals page. Now I don't have anything particularly interesting as design wise for this one. I'm not going to add another umbrella onto this page because I'm going for a minimal aesthetic for January, and I'm just going to have one umbrella design per open spread page, and I'm just going to write goals at the top here. So I've got a couple of goals that I want to do for January, including some yoga goals, some staying in touch with friends goals, and some painting goals. You can pause to read the goals in more detail if you're interested. If you want more of an in-depth look at my goals, you can check out my video on goal setting and my vision board video, because I do go into more depth on that one over there. Next up in January, I've also decided to include a finance tracker. Now, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll know that I stopped including finance trackers a couple of months ago. The reason is because I have a really capable banking app that helps me track all of my expenses really well, but whilst I'm in Mauritius, my banking app doesn't really help me because most of my expenses are cash expenses. So I'm withdrawing money and then I'm using cash. So I want to have a track of my cash expenses in this finance tracker. I'm not really going to put any of the card expenses because that I can actually track really easily. So that is the idea behind the finance tracker. The finance tracker is also divided into 4 columns because I include date, the item that I purchased, the category that I want to fit this purchase into, and the amount I spent on that particular item. For the different categories, if you have watched my 2023 bullet journal setup, you'll know the categories that I use, and if you haven't watched it, then I invite you to click on the card above to go have a look at it. Next up, we have my master to-do list. Now this one is a very minimal spread again. I'm dividing my page into 4 rows, 4 different tasks in my to-do list. I'm going to have an other section, an archer and olive section, a diving section, and a personal section. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm an archer and olive ambassador, so I have tasks for that. I'm going to be doing my dive master training, so I'm going to have tasks for that. And then just personal and other because, you know, other categories. Next up, we are moving on to the weekly spreads. I am going to be doing planned or structured weekly spreads for this video because I'm interested in reintegrating some weekly spreads into my bullet journal because I like rolling weeklies, but I like the structure of having a planned weekly spread as well. So I'm going to be doing all of my weekly spreads in this video. And we start off with week 1. I'm going to do my umbrella. So this one's just going to be a normal umbrella with hanging plants. The process is pretty much the same thing that I've always done. This time, I'm not going to have any leaves on my actual umbrella. So I'm just going to color that in straight away. So using the orange and the pink from the gel pens, I'm going to color that in. The leaves that I'm going to do are with the same patterns that I've been using for this entire video. You can see the pens that I'm using, so either a Pentel brush sign pen or a Calliograph from Archer and Olive. I love these pens. I love the color palette as well. It's very reminiscent of my January 2022 theme, which I didn't do a video on, but I'm going to insert a picture of what that theme was. It was a very detailed Monsterly theme. I really love it. You can see that I'm kind of like copying my themes year on year because I'm doing leaves again. You know what I mean? After I've done all of the leaves, I'm also going to write the month of the year, so January and then the year 2023. I'm also going to be incorporating a small little calendar where I highlight the week of the month as well. Then with a ruler, I'm going to trace out the lines for the different days of the week, and I'm going to divide this page into 7 different boxes where I can write all of my tasks, my events, or anything that I need to write. I didn't really think of anything in particular when I was dividing my page. I divided it horizontally into 5 different rows, and then the bottom 2 rows are going to be divided into 2 again to fit the Saturday and Sunday. Once I've done that, I'm just going to use my brush pen again to write the days of the week. I'm going to do it on the side like I did on my master to-do list because it fits well, and I should have counted the spacing a little bit better because it's a little bit lopsided, but that's okay. Most of these weekly spreads are inspired from Pinterest posts that I find because when I'm running out of ideas, I always look on Pinterest. This is what the weekly spread looks like as well as the master to-do list. So let's move on to week 2. I really like the look of week 2 because I'm going to have even more little boxes to write things into, and I'm going to start off, of course, with doing the hanging plants first. As you can see, I'm sort of repeating specific plants because they look good and then trying to adapt and create new ones when I feel like it. So here's a quick little time lapse of me doing all of that. Then again, I'm going to write January. I'm going to include my small little table. I'm also going to put a small little highlighter mark for the week 2. I'm going to put the highlight color first before putting the pen because this Muji gel pen, as soon as you put any sort of highlighter over the top, it smudges and smears and it looks terrible. And you'll see that I make that mistake in the next spread. Then I'm just going to write the days of the week, and I have all of my columns at the top and then on the right page for Monday to Sunday. And then I'm also going to have a notes section and an affirmations section. I think I was inspired by one of my fellow Archer and Olive ambassadors to write an affirmation slide. I used to do affirmations in my phone, like on my notes app, and I just haven't really done it before in my journal, and I think it's a nice idea to incorporate, so I'm going to try and see how it goes, and if I enjoy it then I'll continue using it, and if I don't then I will stop using it. You know how I said that I was only going to have one little umbrella design per open spread page? Well, I decided against it and I've decided to do another one. I think it was just because this one looked particularly bare and I figured I would do a second umbrella because, why not? The leaves that I'm doing are pretty much all the same. It's very easy to do. You press the pen down in the middle and then lift it up to create that leaf effect. Then I'm just going to add add some little other leaves on the side just to bring everything together. I also had a little quote in mind because it goes with the theme of my journal, and it's "Flowers don't bloom without a little rain." I thought it was pretty cute. Now we move on to week 3, which was inspired by this post on Pinterest that I found. I thought it was brilliant and I decided to copy it. I unfortunately don't know who the creator was, so if you happen to know, let me know down in the comments below. I'm going to write out January and then week 3. I'm also going to include the same events table that person did, except for I'm just going to put events like facing down. I think this particular spread looks amazing, by the way, and I think I might continue using it in the future, but we'll see if I actually end up using it. So things to think about. And then I'm gonna have more weekly boxes for, like, you know, general daily tasks that I think of. I'm also going to have the small calendar on the side, and this time I'm also going to have 2 umbrellas because I want it to be kind of symmetrical on both sides. But first, here is me writing out the days of the week with my brush pen. I do have a video on beginner calligraphy if you're interested in watching that, and if you're interested in learning how to use brush pens for calligraphy, so definitely check that out if you're interested. As you can see, I always do an umbrella drawing with a pencil first before I go in with the actual drawing with the pens. That's because I need to know where to place my umbrella and where to draw the leaves on so that I can do things, you know, as correct as possible. I really like how this particular umbrella looks, and I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side of the page. I think this is definitely my favorite umbrella to date. And then I'm just going to another umbrella there. All right, let's move on to week 4. Week 4 is the last week of January that I'm going to be planning, and I'm just going to be doing a very simple weekly spread. I'm going to have the 7 days of the week, and then I'm just going to have an extra little box for next week tasks. I always like varying up my weekly spreads sometimes because, you know, it makes things a little bit more fun and it changes things up in your weekly schedule, because when things get a little bit monotonous, it can get a little bit boring for bullet journaling. So, you know, sometimes changing things up is a good thing. But of course, I also enjoy having standard weekly spreads where I don't change anything at all, because it does help me stay focused, especially when I'm super busy. But because I'm on holidays, I feel like having a nice little funky bit is quite a good idea. I'm going to have my mini calendar, and here you can see that I made the mistake of highlighting after putting the gel pen, and you can see like the color becomes a bit gray. Here's another little video of me doing the leaves at a different angle, and I hope you enjoy watching this clip. This is also a close-up of what the gel pens look like when you're coloring something in. You can see that you have like the pen mark, so the scratchiness of a gel pen. And what I would consider, or what I would recommend, is if you want to make it more opaque, because you just have to wait till the gel pen completely dries before going on with a second layer, because they do dry a little bit lighter and then you can layer it up, which is super nice. My last spread in my January plan with me is my January review, and I'm just going to do a very basic thing. I'm going to write the title, January review. I'm going to write positives and negatives because that's what I want to track. I'm going to include other things, but I haven't exactly thought of it yet because I'm still at the beginning of December and I'm not entirely sure what I want to review at the end of January 2023. So I will show you what that ends up looking like in another video, but that is the end of my January spreads. Finally, here is a very quick flip through of everything that I've done today. I have my cover page and my monthly log. I like how everything went a little bit more minimalistic, and if you want an idea, it did take me about 2 hours to do everything, which is a lot less time than usual. My habits tracker and my goals page, as well as a little finance tracker, my master to-do list, which is great, and then a couple of weekly spreads. I love how the weekly spreads turn out. Everything to me feels a little bit minimalist. If you've watched my videos in the past, you'll know that this is more minimalistic than anything that I usually do, and it just fits the vibe of being on holidays. And that's it.
Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do want to see more ideas on how to set up your bullet journal, you can watch this playlist next.